All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well, while learning truth 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophets, servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the Akwaf, which are you sisters that are sincere in your children, shalom. And I got another video from the Brothers of Hope for like 3, just basically building off a video that he posted, where you basically got this guy, he's basically reporting of all of the things that are to come in the near future to the world and to this place, America. And these are all of the things that the men of the Lord have been warning you people about, and I'm going to go get a precept. Matter of fact, before I even start out the video, I'm going to get 2nd Esdras 14 and 16. It says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter, right? So everything in which it is that we see ultimately occurring around the world with all of these different protests and riots and things that are happening in America, as far as with the military, hitting the streets of certain states and things like that. Those are only the beginning of the evils, man. These things are going to get way worse. We haven't seen nothing yet compared to what the Lord is really about to unleash upon this place, man. So we're only at the beginning stages of these evils, right, that are soon about to befall the world. Mainly this place, Babylon, the great America, right? And this verse 17, it says, for look how much the world shall be wicked through age, right? So much the more shall evils be increased upon them that dwell therein, right? And it's talking about mainly the heathens and the 2/3 of our people, because we know that ultimately those are going to be the only people in these times that the Lord is not going to have his mercy upon when these evils do begin to, plague this world, right? The Lord is going to protect his elect. He's going to make a way for them. They're going to be protected in these terrible times. The Lord is going to keep them stable, right? As it tells you in Isaiah 33 and 6. I'm going to go to that precept. This is what's going to keep the elect of the nation of Israel stable, man. Having the knowledge and understanding of the scriptures, right? While everybody else in the world, they don't have the truth. They're not going to know what time and season it is we're living in. So when all of these things do begin to befall upon this place, people are going to bug out, man. That's why it's going to be so chaotic, because these people are not going to be expecting these things to come, right? As it tells you in 1 Thessalonians 5 and 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, right? Everybody in this country, America, thinks things are going to get normal. They thinking that they're in a safe state right now. They're thinking that peace is going to come because of the promises that Donald Trump has made unto them. They don't believe that these situations that are happening in this place are going to get worse. They don't believe that, right? So it says, I'm going to get Isaiah 33 and 6. And this is what's going to keep the elect of the nation of Israel stable in these terrible times that we see about to come into this place, right? Lord's will we be at that number. But it says, in wisdom and knowledge, right, of the Bible, meaning having 100% truth, man, having the true names in the Hebrew tongue, the correct doctrine, all of those things are going to keep the elect stable, right? Right? Of thy times, right? Which are the times that we're about to come into, these evils that are about to appear upon the earth, right? And it said, and strength of salvation, the fear of the Lord is his treasure, man. Because ultimately the Lord is going to deliver his elect, as it tells you in Psalms 34 and 7. It said, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about those that fear him and delivereth them, meaning his elect, man. So he's going to make a way for them during these terrible times. But, as for everybody else, that's ultimately not of that number. They're going to get caught up in all of these disasters, man, all of these different plagues that Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is about to pour upon this place, man. Right? So bear with me. I'm going to get to this video so we can basically hear what it is the guy's saying. But these are the times that we're coming into, brothers and sisters. Things are only about to get worse, right? Fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act. Not getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes only.
To retaliate against U.S. interest, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, has started to evacuate our U.S. embassies over in the Middle East. This on top of all the protests and the military presence in the United States already, on top of the warnings from people like Sarah Adams about possible terrorist attacks starting here in 2025. You've had astrologers warning that war was coming to the United States, karma was coming to the United States in 2025. I'm not a fearmonger, guys. I'm just here sharing what I've been shown. I was shown all these things a few years ago. I was put on a path to prepare myself and to try and help as many people realize what was going on with this reset that's taking place. I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't do. I have a few suggestions. I would make sure I have cash on hand. I would just make sure I had cash on hand. Make sure my gas tanks are full.
Well, I wouldn't even, lie to you, brothers and sisters. We know that cash is not going to save you in these times that we're coming into, because ultimately they're about to do away with this cash system because everything is pushing towards ultimately that MOTBC hip being made mandatory. So we know that, cash is not going to get you through these times that are to come, none of those carnal things, man. Really, this is the time more than ever for us brothers and sisters of the hopeful elect to begin closer and closer to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua as we possibly can, praying, reading the scriptures more, fasting, just going on certain different types of routines and things that we can do to, get closer to the Lord. Because that's what's going to get you through these times, being of the elect, man. Lord's will we be at that number. Nothing else is really going to save you, man. Nobody can prepare for these times that we're about to come into because it's going to be a time that these people have never seen, right? That's why it's going to be so, chaotic, man. And I'm going to go to a few scriptures, matter of fact, just touching on that, just how bad it's going to be, man, right? Because these are the times that we're about to come into. And if you don't have the Lord with you, man, then, hey, you're not going to make it, bro. No matter how much you prep, no matter how much you prepare for these things, you're not going to be able to prepare for something that's spiritual, man, because this is a spiritual battle that we're in. And everything that's happening around us, even though it's manifesting in the physical, this is coming from the spiritual realm, man, from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And you're not going to make it in these times if you're not being protected by the Lord, man. As it tells you in Ezekiel 9:4, if you don't have that tawah upon you, which is that mark that exempts you from this judgment that the Lord is about to bring, right? So this is Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, right? And it says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, right? Because Michael is going to stand up for the elect of the nation of Israel, right? And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, right? So those are the times we're about to come into, evils like never before, as the Lord tells us in St. Matthew 24:21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. So those are the times that we're about to come into. And it says, and at that time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book, right? And that's only the elect. And those are going to be the only ones that are going to make it through all of these times that are coming, man. All of these evils that are about to manifest, right? We got to be of the Lord's remnant, man, right? Lord's will we are, But I'm going to get back into the video. I just had to get that precept, basically touching on, the times that we're about to step into. And, none of these carnal things is going to protect you, not stocking up on food, water, resources, all of that stuff. Don't get me wrong. It seems like the right thing to do to the flesh, but really, if you don't have Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, none of that is going to save you, man, at the end of the day.
Buy whatever food and water you can afford. Get some board games for the kids, some coloring books, some non-electrical entertainment. Get books for yourselves on how to live off-grid, homesteading, how to work on your home, your vehicle, things like that, because you might not have internet for a while. There's a lot of cyber attacks that are predicted.
Right. And we know all of those things will happen, As the guy have said, there's going to be blackouts. Matter of fact, you just had an article came out maybe a few weeks ago. I did a video on it where you actually had the U.S., I believe, like the general or somebody that's high in government. He actually just said that, there could be possible blackouts and EMP attacks in America because a lot of the America's, solar panels and things of that nature that gives them the power in this country. A lot of it comes from China, and China has built these little switches inside of them that if an event of war or any tension between them and America, that they can hit these power panels and they can cut off the power. So we know that all of these things are going to happen, man. These are all part of the evils that the Lord is going to bring forth. So I'm going to get this precept right here. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, and I'm going to start at verse 17. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, right? This is the prophet Esdras, ultimately seeing what it is that was going to be happening in these times that we're living in now, and he's seeing how bad it was, man, how the evils were increasing in this place, America, the race wars, the class wars, martial law, civil unrest, Jacob's trouble. He's seen all of these things, the nuclear destruction, all of these things are getting ready to come upon this place, man, It's at the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine, right? Because you ultimately been hearing people talk about in the news that, they actually just made a video on it yesterday that I seen where they said that you got a cyber attack going on with the food. So you can very well expect famines, which means a scarcity of food, to occur in this place, America, man. All of these are part of the plagues, right? Which is the Lord going to use to pour out upon this place to bring forth judgment, right? And it says in great death, man, because a lot of people are about to die, right? Especially in this place, America. If they're not of the Lord's elect, man, a lot of people are about to die. No better way to put it, right? It said the beginning of wars, right? And the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, right? Meaning bad times. What shall I do when these evils shall come, right? And ultimately, the only thing we can do is pray that we be of the Lord's elect, man, that he can have mercy upon us and to deliver us in these evil times. That's all we really got at the end of the day, because like I said, again, we can't depend upon ourselves to get us through these times that we know are coming. This is when Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6 going to really have to come into play, right? Where it said, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, meaning your mind, and lean not into thine own understanding. And all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. That's all we're going to have in these times that we're coming into, is praying that the Lord can direct us to safety and ultimately to protect us in these evil days that are about to come upon this place, America, right? So I'm going to get back into the video so we can listen to what it is the guy is basically saying. But, I mean, all of these things are going to happen, man. It is all for an appointed time. And that's why I'm going to get this precept right here before I get into the video. This is Habakkuk 2 and 3. KJV, it said division, right? Meaning the prophecies, World War III, Jacob's trouble, civil wars, civil unrest, chaos, Tifa wild beasts, apparitions, spirits created for vengeance. All of these things that the Lord are going to, unleash in the latter days, which is the time we're in now, right? They're all part of the prophecies. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, man, right? Because people are about to begin to start seeing these things. They're about to start manifesting themselves, right? And it says, and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And that's talking about all of these evils, man. It's only a matter of time before they actually start happening, man. It won't be just men of the Lord prophesying and warning you people and telling you that these things are going to happen. You people are about to start experiencing these things, man, right? Because it's about to start happening. The Lord is about to get ready to start judging this place. And matter of fact, I'm going to go to that precept too through the Spirit. Because this is why the Lord is about to judge this place. I got to go to it. This is 2nd Esdras. I'm going to go to chapter 15. Right? And I'm going to start at verse 5. It said, behold, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, I will bring plagues upon the world, right? And these are the plagues, right? Just a few of them. We know that there's way more, but this is a few of the plagues the Lord is going to bring upon the earth that we see ultimately manifesting now. It said the sword, right? Representing chaos, destruction, people being at odds, being at variance, people fighting against one another in the streets with swords in their hands, right? That's coming. Division, famine, right? Food shortages, death and destruction, right? You can include on that talking about the power going out, all of these jobs that are being closed down, all of these businesses that are closing down, all of these people being laid off, the poverty rate is being higher in America. All of those things are part of the plagues, man, right? And this is verse 6. This is the reason why. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled, right? Verse 7, therefore saith the Lord. Verse 8, I will hold my tongue no more in touching their wickedness, right? Which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and the righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And that's going into what I talked about in the book of Ezekiel 9 and 4 earlier. Those are going to be the ones the Lord is going to protect in these times. The men that are signed and crying for the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. That's basically talking about the Lord's elect, man, because they're the only ones that sign and cry. Begging the Lord to come back and to destroy this place, man, and to, set up a righteous kingdom, man, So those are going to be the ones the Lord is going to protect, and he's getting ready to bring forth judgment upon the wicked, man. 2/3 of our people and these other heathens, man, So I'm going to get into the video.
To go off, and you can see the plane that just fell in India. I'm sure that could be related to a cyber attack. This is the kind of stuff that they've been predicting, guys. There's a theory about 17 cities in one day. And there's a very big day coming up this weekend. Tomorrow's Friday the 13th. That's pretty fitting, isn't it? But then June 14th comes. And that's the day all the protests are planned. And you've got the military parade. You've got the Pope giving an address on the same day, I believe. There's a lot going on June 14th. So I ask you to please keep love in your heart. This isn't a message of fear, guys. I'm being honest with what's happening in the world right now, and yes, not everyone's going to make it through this. Okay, not everyone is going to see what the world looks like after the wars are done, and that's okay because we're all eternal, we're all divine. We all go back to the same place once this is over. This is a temporary experience, but those who haven't made up their mind yet, you better make up your mind. Are you trying to survive this and see what is going to be here on?
All right. You heard what it is the guy basically said, and that's what's coming, man. He's absolutely right. A lot of people are about to not make it through these times that are coming, man. A lot of people are about to get sent back to the spiritual realm in these times, man. When the Lord really start unleashing these judgments, right? So this is Ezekiel chapter 7, and I'm going to start at verse 5. It said, "Thus saith the Lord, power and evil, and only evil, behold, is come," right? Verse 6, "And end is come, the end is come, it watcheth for thee, behold, it is come." And that's what we're in. The end of this age, the end of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man being in power, man. And that's why we're seeing all of these evils beginning to intensify and increase, man. Because the Lord is getting ready to bring forth judgment and to take this man out of power, right? So this is why it's very important for us, brothers and sisters, that are in this truth, to be moving circumspectly, man, and to be moving with wisdom, especially in these times, knowing how crazy things are about to get, and I'm going to get that precept, right? This is Ephesians chapter 5. And I'm going to go straight to the point. I'm going to go to verse 15. And it says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise," right? So this is the time like never before where you brothers and sisters want to be circumspect, watching your surroundings, knowing who it is you're involved with, knowing who you're around and things of that nature, just moving with wisdom, man. Not being foolish out here, as it tells you in Proverbs 22:3, "A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself," right? "In the confines of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua," right? "But the simple pass on and are punished," man, and that's what's about to come. A lot of simple people that don't know what time in the season it is that we're in are about to be punished, man, right? This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16. "Redeeming the time because the days are evil." And the days are very evil out here, brothers and sisters. So that's why we ultimately got to be moving circumspectly, got to be moving with wisdom. As the Lord tells us in St. Matthew chapter 10, verse 16, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves," man. We're amongst a bunch of wolves, a bunch of wicked, vile, destructive, barbaric people, man. So that's why we got to move with this wisdom that we know these people in this world ultimately don't have, right? So this is verse 17. It said, "Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is." And what is the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua? Ultimately to bring forth judgment upon this place, America, Babylon the Great, in the world. And we know that. So that's why we ultimately need to be moving with wisdom in these times and praying and hoping that the Lord can have his mercy upon us, man. When these things do begin to spiral out of control, because this is only the beginning of those evils that are to come, man. So I'm going to finish letting this video play. It's just 40 more seconds of it. So we're going to finish letting it play.
On earth, or have you made your peace? Because you need to be where you're going to be. Because I don't think you're going to get a chance after this weekend. I think martial law is right around the corner. I think once the events take place, the infrastructure, the railroads, the planes, all that, you're not going to have a chance to relocate. I'm just being honest, guys.